Hey there! Welcome to the next episode, where Alexander's rallying a fresh fleet from the Phoenician cities and Cyprus, gearing up for a big attack with those massive siege towers. Recognizing the futility of taking Tyre without controlling the sea, he set about assembling a formidable new fleet. What followed was months of relentless engineering, naval skirmishes, and increasingly desperate Tyrian resistance, culminating in a final, brutal assault that would see the island fortress fall and its people face a terrible retribution. The destruction of his initial siege works at Tyre by the Tyrian fireship in early Fray 332 BCE was a bitter blow for Alexander, but his response was immediate and twofold. Rebuild the mole, wider and more robust than before, and crucially, assemble a fleet capable of challenging Tyrian naval dominance. He temporarily left the supervision of the mole construction to his generals Perdiccas and Craterus, and travelled north himself to Sidon to expedite the gathering of ships. His timing was fortunate. The Phoenician cities of Sidon, Byblus, and Arwad, which had recently submitted to him, possessed powerful fleets that had previously served Persia. Their kings, including Gerastratus of Arwad and Enalus of Byblus, who had been with the Persian fleet in the Aegean, now returned and pledged their allegiance and their ships, some 80 vessels, to Alexander. Even more significantly, the kings of Cyprus, hearing of Alexander's victory at Issus and his relentless advance, decided to switch their allegiance. They sailed to Sidon with a combined fleet of approximately 120 warships, smaller contingents from Rhodes, which had a complex relationship with Persia and Macedon. Lycia, and even some Greek cities, also joined him. Suddenly, Alexander found himself in command of a formidable combined fleet of over 200 warships, decisively outnumbering the Tyrian navy. This was the turning point of the siege. With his newfound naval superiority, Alexander returned to Tyre. He organized his fleet, placing Cypriot and Phoenician commanders in charge of their respective squadrons, with himself in overall command. He immediately challenged the Tyrians at sea. Several naval engagements took place. While the Tyrians fought bravely, they were outmatched. Alexander's fleet established a blockade around the island, cutting off Tyre from seaborne supplies and reinforcements, and, most importantly, preventing the Tyrian navy from effectively harassing the ongoing construction of the mole. Macedonian ships, equipped with archers, slingers, and light catapults, were now able to patrol the waters around the mole, providing protection for the workers. The Tyrians, however, continued their desperate and ingenious defense of their city. As the mole inexorably crept closer to their island, they raised the height of their city walls, facing it, creating an even more formidable barrier. They deployed their own ship-mounted catapults and other missile weapons to bombard the Macedonians, to obstruct the advance of the mole, and to prevent Macedonian ships from approaching too close to their walls. They dropped massive stone blocks into the sea. Alexander, in turn, had these blocks laboriously removed using cranes mounted on anchored ships. The Tyrians then employed divers to swim out underwater and cut the anchor ropes of these Macedonian vessels. Alexander countered by ordering his ships to use iron chains instead of ropes for their anchors. From their walls, the Tyrians used grappling hooks, or crows, mounted on cranes to seize attacking soldiers or damage siege engines. They poured down showers of burning sand, which penetrated armor and caused excruciating pain, and hurled red-hot metal projectiles. Despite these valiant efforts, the Great Mole, a testament to Macedonian engineering and sheer perseverance, finally reached the walls of Tyre after approximately 7 months of relentless labor, likely around July 330 to BC. It was an unprecedented feat. Alexander now brought up his heaviest land-based siege engines, massive wooden towers, some reportedly 150 feet high and bristling with catapults and archers, and powerful battering rams onto the completed causeway. Initial assaults from the mole against the main Tyrian wall facing it were met with ferocious resistance and were repulsed. The Tyrian defenses at this point were incredibly strong. Realizing that a breakthrough here would be costly, Alexander used his fleet, now equipped with shipborne rams and siege towers, to probe the entire circuit of Tyre's walls for weaker sections. Eventually, a vulnerable spot was identified and a small breach made in the southern wall, near the area known as the Egyptian harbor. The final grand assault was launched. It was a coordinated attack from multiple directions. Diversionary attacks were made on the northern Macedonian harbor to draw away Tyrian defenders. The main thrust, however, was directed at the breach on the southern wall, with Alexander himself aboard one of the leading ships carrying Hypaspists and Agrianians. These ships, equipped with gangplanks, pressed the assault. Admetus, the commander of the Hypaspists, was one of the first to fall as he led his men onto the walls, but the Macedonians, inspired by Alexander's presence, poured through the breach. Simultaneously, a massive assault was launched from the mole, with the largest siege engines finally succeeding in creating another breach in the main wall. Macedonian soldiers swarmed into the city from several points. What followed was a horrific slaughter. The Macedonians, enraged by the length and difficulty of the siege, their heavy losses, and the Tyrians' stubborn defiance, which reportedly included executing some Macedonian prisoners on the city walls in full view of the besieging army, showed little mercy. The Tyrians, knowing their fate if the city fell, fought with the courage of despair, street by street, house by house. According to ancient sources, around 8,000 Tyrians were killed during the capture and sack of the city. King Asamilcus of Tyre, along with other city notables and some envoys from Carthage who had been trapped in the city, sought refuge in the sacred temple of Melkart. Heracles Alexander, respecting the sanctity of the temple, spared their lives. The retribution exacted on the rest of the surviving Tyrian population was brutal and designed to serve as a terrifying example to any other city that might contemplate defying Alexander. Approximately 30,000 Tyrians were sold into slavery. In a particularly grim act reported by the Roman historian Curtius Rufus, though not by Arrian, Alexander ordered some 2,000 Tyrian men of military age who had been captured fighting to be crucified along the seashore, a horrific spectacle visible to all passing ships. The fall of Tyre was a monumental achievement for Alexander. It had taken 7 long, arduous months, but he had overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles through his unyielding determination. His ability to adapt his strategy, notably by assembling a powerful fleet, his brilliant use of engineering, and the incredible efforts of his soldiers. The capture of this island fortress, which had defied Assyrian and Babylonian kings for years, added immensely to Alexander's military reputation. Strategically, it was a devastating blow to Persian naval power, as Tyre was its last major base in the eastern Mediterranean. The path to Egypt now lay open, and Alexander's control over the Levantine coast was complete. The legend of Alexander, the man who could conquer even the sea by land, was firmly cemented. If you enjoyed our video, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more awesome vlogs. We've got plenty more fun coming your way.